Hello, hello everyone, and welcome to Table Crashers. My name is Chris Walters, aka Tiny Rhino, and we are here with Tristan Donovan. Tristan, say hello to everyone for me.
Hi, everyone.
All right. We'll get to your interview in a second. We'll do a couple of our typical rundowns first. Table Crashers, and specifically Geek Spiel, is a PG-13 series of streams where we talk about everything games. Table Crashers in particular, we'd like to bring on a host, or a guest, excuse me, I'm the host, and we talk about something relevant to that guest. Tristan's got an amazing book out, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But I think the important piece that we want you to know is we're here. We talk everything gaming, and we want to make sure that this is an inclusive stream for everyone. So feel free to, we are streaming, jump in on chat. We'll answer those questions as they come up. Again, if you have questions for Tristan, this is a great place to ask them. We also want you all to know that there's a link below the stream where you can join in on Discord. That's where we set up our games. We talk about the shows. We bring these guests, and you get a chance to also ask, Tristan's now part of our Discord, right? So you get a chance to ask Tristan these questions as well. And with that, I want to get into it. So Tristan, we're going to talk about your book. And the book is It's All a Game, The History of Board Games from Monopoly to Settlers of Catan. But I want to first start with what, in general, got you into this hobby obsession, right, whatever, with board games. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I guess it's kind of fairly typical family experience. So I grew up and, parents every Sunday we would get round table and we'd play a board game. It would be a Game of Life, Monopoly, those kind of games. So it became a regular thing, you have your sort of Sunday dinner and then you'll play a board game. So it kind of got quite rooted there, I think. And that was sort of really where it started. I just grew up with them and thought, they're just normal standard part of everyday life. And I guess I suppose for perspective, I should say I was born in the 70s, so probably in the 90s kind of lost track of board games a bit. It didn't, I wasn't very aware of stuff like Catan and so on that was starting to emerge around then. So kind of went, well, I'm a bit old playing life now, I'll move on. And so forgot about it. And then probably 5 years ago, started getting back into it, meeting people who kind of go, well, really into board games. They've changed a lot. And so that's what really got me back into them, I guess. That's sort of the path. So I guess it's fairly typical path for people who are just starting to rediscover the whole hobby.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that's what we hear from a lot of folks. So like your story is definitely, at least in that initial part, not too different than I think what a lot of folks kind of share. It's like, yeah, I had this childhood kind of memory of these games, and then as we know the history of games, right, like they suddenly had this splurge and this kind of development in the 90s and 2000s of all of these Euro style games, and now Ameritrash style games. They started becoming more than just your Monopolies and your Game of Life, and really surged into something that we have now, which is that modern gaming piece. So what inspired you to write this book?
Well, I guess it's two things. One was discovering that sort of new wave of games. And I think, like, do you say it's a surge? It's still, even now, fairly underground. There's still, most people out there still haven't heard of Catan, amazingly. It's still kind of fairly unknown in the mainstream level compared to, say, Monopoly. So, that was part of it. It's like, well, there's something happening here with board games again. I've also done a few books before. I did a history of video games. I did a history of fizzy drinks. And one of the things I'm always interested in is these sort of everyday things that we kind of got used to. So, like a Coca-Cola can. It's like, we see it so much, we kind of almost don't think about it. And so I'm interested in what's the story behind that. And so that was one of the things with board games. I thought, well, what's the story behind Clue? What's the story behind Monopoly and chess and all of these? And it turned out they had great stories. Now, having written a whole book about the history of video games, it's like board games have much better backstories and much more interesting socially. Sort of video games, it's like we wanted to make something fun or make some money, whereas board games, it's like this was a political process, or it's a game like chess, which has gone through hundreds of years of evolution.
Right.
Much more rich history to it.
Okay, awesome. What was, when you were doing your research, and when I say research, right, like, and I've started the book. I haven't quite gotten through it because I found out on Sunday you were joining us, so I was like, let's see if I can finish this up. And I've loved many of the chapters. Research is like an understatement, right? Like, again, I know you said that you had a lot of backstory to this, but this each story has just a tremendous amount of content. And for someone that's like a board game nerd and geek like myself, it's so cool to see, again, these rich histories that you just never knew. Again, I think we all know chess is an old game, but the fact that it has so much history and it has seen change, right? Like, I don't know, in my mind, chess is just a game that's existed in its entirety, right? And it's been this thing that's just been around, right? So I think that's been something, really interesting. But you don't just do, I think, some of the like standard, here's where it starts, here's where it's now, but it feels like there's that kind of pop culture research and knowledge behind that too, which makes, I think, those chapters really interesting as well.
Yeah, and I think, you want to make it interesting. It's kind of, you could just do, so one bit I didn't include in the book, I spent a bit of time looking into this game called The Game of the Goose, and it's like really simple roll and move game that emerged in Italy around the 1700s. And basically for 200 years, everyone played this game, variations of it, and it's basically like it was basically like a circular track. You roll dice, and whoever gets to the end first wins. For 200 years, that was the game of choice. And went through ages of kind of going, well, literally all that changed is it used to be about geese, and then it changed to being about monkeys. And that was like an exciting breakthrough. It was just like, this is so dull. I can't write about that. Right. I'm bored reading about it, let alone writing. So I think, you want to leave out that stuff and connect it to the interesting stuff. And there's so many different angles and things that uncovered. Even with chess, there's sort of the way it kind of evolves. It went in different directions. So, main story, which I do cover in the book, is it goes from India through Persia, through Middle East to Europe. But what I didn't have room for was that it also went north into Russia and ended up with completely different rules there, and off to China and Japan as well. And it's just so many different ways of looking at it. I think it's important just to try and kind of put it in its context and not just kind of go, well, here's a board game. I won't talk about anything that was happening around this. Board games are a big part of our culture.
Right, for sure. Well, and I think one of the things that, again, both of us have already mentioned, it at least in the more traditional or modern sense, it's seen as like a family thing, right? It's something that can be done. It's got that social aspect, right? It's all about the community and the environment and the interaction, and it's cool to see, again, how that is either developed or been integral in kind of the history of these games as well.
Yeah, and it's very, very much kind of about bringing people together. And I think that's one of the things that's and it's old school. You got to kind of get together with people. It's inconvenient, and with video games, and we've got this, and we've got our phones, and almost in every other way of life, it's like everything's going digital. Yet, here we are kind of buying board games in droves again, and I think that's part of its appeal. That it is something that brings people together. And when you're sat at a table, you can't get out your smartphone and kind of flick around on the. Well, you could, but no one else you're playing with is going to be particularly happy.
Right. Like, come on, it's your turn. Let's go.
Yeah. So, and I think it's good in that way. And and there's also sort of that physical thing. You'll be around a table and you'll lean in slightly more than you would if you were just sat there chatting. And it's not like cards where it's competitive. It's like, well, I'm hiding my kind of being standoffish. So. That's one of the things I really love about board games, and really think, say, video games really lacks, because board games do have that social element, and you can't be face to face. And there's all the thousands and millions of years of evolution that's made us very good at face-to-face communication.
Right.
It's our base, and everything else is inferior. We can't pick up on body language. We can't pick up on, we're having a video chat now, but our eye movement doesn't work. It doesn't align as it would in real life. And so, that's one of the great things about war games. It's something that today is still bringing us together like it did for, thousands of years.
Right. Was there, when you were writing this book, a chapter in particular that was, I don't know, your favorite to write, or most interesting to write, or most wow, I never knew this about that, like this game, right? That maybe is integral, you kind of, again, for me, it sounds like, again, so far, like chess is that chapter that I'm like, oh my gosh, really, that's fascinating to me. So was there a chapter that really stood out for you and you enjoyed writing more than the others?
I think the one that stuck with me most, and each chapter has its moments, but I think the one I liked most was the one on war games and Kriegspiel, because I had this vague idea that all these war games came out of military war games. That was pretty much my knowledge when I started. And you go back and you see it wasn't just like, some generals played these little games and pushed a few tanks around. Wars were decided, whole wars, whole direction. So Pearl Harbor was actually just some crazy idea the Japanese military had at the time. And there was a lot of opposition to it, but they tested it out with a board game. Can this crazy plan work? And the board game said yes. So that was kind of the tipping point that led towards Pearl Harbor. Now, if Pearl Harbor hadn't have happened, America might not have got involved in the Second World War. Who knows what would have happened? It's kind of slightly shocking that, some people playing a board game kind of having that much effect on history. And so found, German planning for one was based on lots and lots of board games. And yeah, they're very complicated board games, but they're still board games. So I think that's the one that really stood out for me.
Okay. Gosh, I've had a good time chatting with you. And as we go through, we'll keep asking questions. And again, Twitch chat, feel free, if you have any questions for Tristan, throw them out there. One of the things that I guess last things I want to ask before we move on is, do you have, I know one of the things is that the book kind of stops before some of these even just more modern, even further, right? Like we're talking very recent past, because I think even with the book, it's still missing this almost like a rocket ship explosion of upward movement in the genre. Do you have plans for kind of covering some of the, I guess, past couple of years, some of these games and things like that? Is there a sequel in the works or anything like that right now?
Not at this point. It came out last year, so it feels a bit early for an update. But I think one of the things I had, so we get up to Catan, Pandemic, and Twilight Struggle, and Ticket to Ride, that kind of the top end of the new games, I guess, in terms of sales. I think one of the reasons I stay clear of going much deeper is that it's really hard to tell which of these games will last.
Right.
And they're also fresh. They don't really have a story yet.
True.
Say Power Grid, it's interesting, but I'm not sure what, in 10 years' time, will it be an important game or will it be one of 1,000 games that came out that year? And I think that's the thing is, when writing a history book, I'm trying to go, well, which of these is the important one? It's like, well, there's been 5,000 new board games out this year.
Right.
One of them, or it could be none of them, or it could be 100 of them. So it sort of feels too close for me to kind of go, this is the one I should write about, because it will probably be wrong. I think, hey, maybe it's Istanbul now. And maybe in 6 months' time, everyone's forgotten that game entirely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I definitely think that in general, we're just seeing things, again, you mentioned it a little earlier about technology and that's play. We're currently video chatting in a way to be able to play this game, but the like advent and utilization of Kickstarter as a way to not only pre-sale but like popularize and start and give folks the opportunity. I mean, it's an unprecedented level of access to essentially becoming a creator. You know, it's just an interesting phenomenon. And what does that do for the genre, right? You know, we suddenly have created this, maybe added some barriers, but we've decreased barriers around access for being a content creator. And how does that impact you? Like you said, 5,000, you know, thousands of games a year, you know, coming out right now. So
yeah, how do you keep on top of that number of games? And it's interesting, you know, what ones will have an impact, because, you know, there might be some obscure game that's got some Kickstarter funding, but, you know, anyone outside that funding doesn't do much with it. But maybe it has a great mechanic that's going to be the next breakthrough, but it could easily get lost in this sort of avalanche of stuff. So it's tricky to sort of know where it's going. But I mean, it's great that it's there. You know, we're talking about, you know, before it was like, well, slim pickings and, you know, let's all rely on Hasbro to publish something new. You know, it's great there's variety now, much more happening.
yeah, for sure. Well, I think we're going to kick it over to the table. We're going to crash a game. You ready to play some Pandemic tonight?
Yeah, see how I do it. Kind of.
All right. So while our producer is moving us over to a table, just kind of a couple of things. Tristan, just so you know, this is the first time on the show that we've played a co-op. And I would say that traditionally the history of the show is that the guest loses, because that's just kind of, we're just way too competitive to let our friends win. But
so you'll all be coming down with me.
Yeah, as I say, now it's a lot different because we don't necessarily want to lose here. So, but yes, we are going to play with a few folks. I'm going to go ahead and introduce them now. We may be having someone join us. Kitt Kitsume was going to join us. He's having some car issues and all of the things, and so right now he's not here. He might jump in later and kind of ask some questions. But I want to introduce Chris Cornell, aka Digital Cartage. Chris, say hello.
Hey everyone, how's it going this evening? Hopefully we can... I don't even know, are we supposed to save the world or destroy the world?
We're saving it. We are scientists saving the world. Yeah, no,
Gotcha.
we're about safety and curing diseases. And then Tristan's playing and I'm playing. So right now we're playing a 3-player game. And then Matt's hanging out at the mothership. You can't hear Matt. He talks to me. It's a good time. So
it's just the voices in your head. That's all.
Yeah.
There is no Matt.
There is no Matt. It's almost like a Jedi mind trick of this is. So I'm going to do a quick overview of the world. We've done a little bit of setup already. So essentially the premise of the game is we are like a crisis response team, a crew of scientists and researchers and awesome people. I was going to cuss on stream. I'm already breaking my own rule. That are just trying to stop these outbreaks of these 4 diseases. So essentially there's a couple of ways in which we can lose. These cards will be dealt to us throughout the game. If this ever goes away, then we lose, right? If we ever have what are called outbreaks, if we ever get 8 of them, then we lose. And if we ever run out of, there are 4 diseases, we're not playing with the expansion, even though you see the purple bag here. If one of these bags runs out of cubes, we also lose. So there's several ways for us to lose. The way to win is to cure or eradicate the diseases in hand here. And I won't go too much into what that looks like, but essentially we were all dealt, and this is co-op, so everything can be played face up. So I'm gonna, Matt, producer, just know I've got cards in front of me if you want to pan over those. We are all starting with 2 cards. These cards get essentially turned in to research stations. The first one's here at Atlanta. to create a cure for a disease. And then once all the cubes are wiped off the board from that point, the disease is eradicated. So the goal is for us to get 4 or 5, depending on our role, of cards of the same color and turn that into a research pod or a station. Once the that happens for all 4 diseases, we win the game. So we need to do that. We have kind of a clock. So there are epidemic cards, which are bad. They are essentially shuffled into the decks here. And so I'm going to kind of wrap that up. There are a couple of different roles that we can have throughout the game. Chris is not as familiar with the game, but Tristan and I are. There's 7 roles down here at the bottom. Tristan, is there a particular role that you typically like to play with?
Usually end up scientist, but I don't mind if someone else wants to take that. Should mix it up a bit.
No, go ahead. The scientist ability is that you only need 4 cards instead of the 5 to discover a cure. The hand limit is it 6? It's the hand limit. Is it 7?
7, I think.
Okay, so we are a limit capped. I believe it is 7. You're capped at a hand limit. So that needing that 1 less card is really nice. Let's see. Medic is also a great role, Chris. It lets you, if you are treating diseases, there's a couple of actions we can do, and I'll go through those actions. You get to remove all of the cubes versus 1 at a time. And then once a cure is discovered, you essentially get to perform the treat action for free. We always call it just kind of like you just walk through, you magically cure disease. So that's always a great role to have.
Like a cleric.
Yes, just just awesome cleric. Let's see. Research is also great. That kind of lets you share cards, even if you're not in the city. Because again, some of the rules here is that you have to be in the same city to share certain cards. To move and things like that require having the card that you're wanting to connect to. Essentially, we all have 4 actions a turn that we can spend to do these little player actions on these cards over here, whether that's move from place to place, fly from place to place, all the things. Go from research station to research station, and so on and so forth. Chris, do you have a particular role that, as you're kind of looking through them, that you want to grab?
I'll just take the medic.
Okay. I am going to... I'm going to pick up the researcher. That essentially lets me share cards without being in the city that names that card. So, because again, that's a particular thing here, is that you're not able to share cards with each other unless you're on the same city of the card. So again, like Milan here, someone would not be able to trade that with each other unless they were both in Milan, except for myself, again, having that researcher role. So I've set up where there are some cubes already on the board. The red has a couple of 3s. Essentially, the one thing to know before we start in the game is an outbreak occurs when a 4th cube is added to the board here. What it does is essentially from there spreads in all cities that are connected to it. So we definitely don't want those outbreaks to occur or happen. Besides that, that's pretty much the game. We all start with one of our pawns, and they kind of match the color that you have here. So I'm going to pick this like really wonderfully caramel brown pawn. And it sounds like we have Kitt here. Kitt, are you hearing me?
I am hearing you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Is the car situation figured out?
We'll find out tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
I had to get it
Um,
jumped, but jumping it worked. So
Okay, that's good. It looks like there's not like really an orange and brown, so I'm going to actually have the blue pawn. We'll let Chris have the orange of the medic. Um, okay.
oh, I thought I just took white because I was in the white color.
No,
hand.
Tristan's white because it's the role of your character.
Oh, see, that's okay.
Yeah. So we all started at Atlanta. We get 4
Bad
actions.
table design.
Yeah, it's something we can work on. Tristan, why don't you start and then I'll go next, and that gives Chris 3 rounds before or 2 rounds before he has to start.
Okay. So we need to get over to that outbreak.
Red's not great, and that's an area.
Red's really bad.
Right. There's also a crew of yellows here in Mexico City. I mean, definitely Chris getting over to the red, I think, is a big priority. Tristan, do you have your cards that you can lay out so that we can see what you?
Yeah. Okay. Buenos Aires and Montreal, which is
Okay.
fairly
We don't really have a lot of reds at our disposal, and by a lot, we have none.
Yeah.
But we do have 3 blues, and so being able to get you those blue cards is going to be a good choice.
City cards.
Yeah.
Should I go deal with the yellows? Because
Yeah, I think the yellow might be a good use of your time, and that keeps you and I close so that I can get a blue card to you. So
yeah, it's 1, 2, and crap. Yeah, it's one cube, isn't it? That's 3rd move. So yeah. Right, so that's all my moves. And then, which order do we take it in? Is that pack first?
so have you taken all your actions?
Yeah, so move
Okay,
1 there.
so you're going to draw 2 cards from this deck down here. Oh,
Right.
Just if you hover over it and press 2, it will throw 2 into your hand. Like press the number 2.
Oh, right, okay.
And then, then feel free to just set them back out. Okay, so it looks like you have 2 blues and 2 yellows, which is great.
Let's computer shuffle these properly.
I did shuffle them like 1,000 times.
I blame the computer. It's red.
Okay, to round out the turn, we have an infection rate, right? The diseases kind of infect cities. Right now, we flip 2 cards at the end of each of our turns. So go ahead and flip, I'll pull one off here. And so we're going to add 1 black cube to Cairo. And then we will add 1 to Mumbai. Now, these cards will get shuffled back into. I gotta find Mumbai. There. It is. Thanks, Chris. These will get shuffled back on top of this deck once an epidemic card comes out. We'll talk through that process here in a second, but that is not good. So, okay, pass this to the next person. Again, some of the rules that we can take, and I guess Tristan, let's talk through how you spent your points, right? So everyone has 4. You spent a point moving to Miami and a point moving to Mexico City, right? So because you can travel on these white or yellow lines by spending 1 point. And then for us, Chris is the exception here, we can remove 1 cube from the game board for every point spent before a cure has been found. So
so
Kitt, go ahead and pick a roll.
Say that again, Chris.
Kitt's here now, so I was going to say have him go pick a roll real quick.
So I'd have to reset this entire deck. So I figured we just run through the game real quick, and we'll play him we'll bring him in on the next one. But
Okay.
Kitt, feel free to join us on any
I'm already
questions
here.
you have. Yeah.
Oh.
What I'm saying is, feel free to ask any of those questions you have, because again, we know that you quickly finished Tristan's book here in the past couple of days.
I finished it last night.
Right.
I actually really enjoyed it, to be honest.
Good. What was one of your favorite chapters of the book?
To be fair, it's actually my favorite game, which is chess.
I
love chess.
That was one of my favorite kind of stories to hear.
And Mousetrap.
Yeah, Marvel.
I love
Mousetrap seems like
Mousetrap.
such an interesting game. It was never a game that I ever understood how to play as a kid. I just liked essentially building the traps.
Isn't that what the point was?
I mean, it was, but
Make
like
it over and over.
there's rules to building the traps. I just wanted to set everything up and then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're messing.
Yeah, the actual games are very interesting. It's definitely all about the trap.
Okay, so I'm going to take my turn. What do we think we should do here? And Kitt, feel free to jump in on this strategy as well. Kitt, have you played Pandemic before?
Yeah. I've won once, lost 16 times though.
Oh, Kitt, I don't know if I want you to tell me anything.
That's because I play solo, man.
Oh, gotcha.
I play hardcore solo.
Well, I also have us on the beginner mode. I only have 4 epidemics in here right now. I kind of wanted to win, so I played easy on.
Oh no, I've lost on that mode. So
right, I was gonna say it's not much of a reassurance. I do think it's an advantage for me to drop the blue card off with Tristan, because I can either on my turn perform the share knowledge action, which lets me give a card to any card to a player per share action, or on someone else's turn they can take one of my cards, and it's not specific to what card. So I can't get Chris's right now because we're both in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I was saying, don't you all
I
start in Atlanta? You can.
I just realized that's the card you have. So yeah, we could trade that for because we're both on that city. Do you mind if I take that from you?
I suppose.
Yeah, because the advantage is now I can give both of these cards to. So that was one action. I'm going to spend a second one to go to Miami, a third to go to Mexico City. And Tristan, I'm going to pass Atlanta to you, one of these blue cards. And then on your turn, you can take that second blue card, which will be great. Okay.
First Z's then.
I'm going to draw 2 more cards. All right. It looks like Manila.
I'm probably going to take that red from you, I think, because that's where I'm heading, right? Is to the reds.
Yeah, that's where you're heading. And it probably makes
I can't get since we're not in the same thing. I have to go to you.
Right. Well, but no, you can take a card from me, any card, because of my role as the researcher. You can take any card from me. One of the things to know is that we can build research stations, and those are really important to have spread throughout the map. Again, you have to be at a research station to be able to discover a cure, but you have to have the card that matches the city. None of us have the special researcher or the research builder. I think it's like operations manager or something. So like this Manila card could be spent to build a research station over here in Manila. The problem is we still need a bunch of red cards to even find a cure. So that might be a little premature, but
okay.
But yeah, I don't think it hurts for you to have that red card.
Since I have this, what is this? This Bogota card. Should I go?
Did you lose another card?
I
took Elena from you.
You took it, yeah.
Hold on a second. Let me. It's been a long day. Let me finish out my turn by adding a cube to St. Petersburg, and then adding a cube to Karachi. Okay,
why are they all black cubes?
Huh?
No. One was blue.
Oh.
It's like a
St. Petersburg is blue.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's your
So tell
turn.
me the names you've given your viruses.
Yes, that was my turn.
Okay. So now I have to. I feel that it's probably a good idea to, since they're at a research station, probably spend 2 actions to come down here. Since I have that card.
So
Or
what
would
are
it be
you
better to
hoping-
actually use
what
the
are you
card
hoping to do with that yellow?
I was going to
Like, are
start
you
to
wanting
build a. I was going to
So
build a
it's
research
so-
station in yellow.
It's so close to Atlanta. You don't have to build it on the color. You can turn any cards in at any research station, right? So I can turn black cards in at this Atlanta station, or the red cards. So we don't need like a yellow research station.
Gotcha.
That's actually really close. One of the advantages of the research station is it also lets you, it's called Shuttle Flight. You can essentially free move from a research station to a research station, so it helps to spread those out just a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
Um,
then I'm just going
And
to
I think
continue.
it probably makes a lot of sense for you to go to red, since you can essentially instant clear a city.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have 4 moves that I can make, right?
Yeah, let's put you back up in Atlanta.
Yeah. So you go across the Pacific. Right?
Yeah,
Go
so
to
you can go
Los
up to
Angeles.
Chicago, over to San Francisco, over
And
to
then into
Tokyo, and then over to Shanghai. That's 4. That would mean next turn you could just hop, clear this, hop over, clear this. So that might be a
Oh,
good
okay.
action.
All right.
Yeah.
And
So
then
again,
I
the
draw.
beauty. Yeah. So you're gonna draw 2 here. There's a red. There's black. Okay. And I have 2 black cards right now. So that might be a card that I come grab from you, just so it's 1 closer to 5 for me. And then
Gotcha.
we need to
Okay.
flip 2 of these here. Lima needs a yellow cube. And Hong Kong needs a red cube. Now we're getting low on the red cubes, but we're still probably okay for now.
Because I'm over there, I can clear those out, right?
Well, we've got 15.
Yeah. So I mean, we're it's the lowest one, but like I said, it's I think pretty manageable right now.
But I suppose an outbreak.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so the epidemics are so essentially I put them. We split the deck into 4 and put 1 epidemic card for each, and then I shuffled the epidemic into each of those small stacks, and then essentially placed one on top of the other. So we could have one that is at the end of those 12 cards, and then one right at the top of those 12 cards. So we could have 2 epidemics in a row. I've had that. That is devastating. But we could also have them fairly spaced out. So we're probably getting pretty close to drawing an epidemic card. But it is, Tristan, it's your turn.
Right. So thanks
could
to your
take
power, I
this
can
one
take
on.
your blue card. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So that's the first move. So now I've got enough to actually get it onto the table in my hand.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard when it's right. Yeah, just throw it down.
Yeah.
Oh,
Explain to
4
everyone.
blue cards.
Today is the first time I've used tabletops.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing wonderful.
So do that.
So that was
that's
1 action. 2,
2, 3, and
and
then
you can turn 4 blue in. And so
Yeah.
essentially what we've done is we've discovered a cure for blue. So Chris, your magical ability is now you can walk through any city with a blue cube, and that city is magically gone. Tristan and I can spend our cure action instead of taking 1 cube out to essentially do what you previously could do, which is wipe out all of the blue cubes.
Yeah.
So we are
do
more
we have a
successful.
discard pile somewhere?
It's over here. Yeah. Oh, I
Now,
shuffled.
it says when this is, so it says remove all cubes of one color when doing treat disease, and that's just from that one location.
That's your pre-cure ability. Yes. So on yellow, red, and purple, or purple, black, you could go to a city and say, I'm curing red.
The treating. Yeah.
Yeah. You are treating, yes. I am treating red. And so that would take all of the red cubes off. Now, if you had like 2 red cubes and a black cube, you'd have to essentially spend 2 actions to take both colors off.
Gotcha.
Unless, again, we have cured them both and you can just walk through and swipe through them. Doesn't require you to spend the action.
Okay.
So that's all 4. Why don't you go ahead and draw 2 cards here, Tristan?
Yeah. Right. So.
So yeah, so the event cards are nice because they do let us do some special things. They can be played at any time, so not necessarily doesn't take up an action point. And essentially what it lets us do is, again, kind of depending on the card, be helpful. This one lets us look at the top 6 cards of the infection deck, which is a nice one. But I did see your other card, which was...
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
put it in the bag.
It looked like it would fit.
Yeah.
So
we have a... Here, I'm going to get these out of the way here. I did not do what I wanted to. I'm just building a tower now. So essentially we do 3 things here. We increase the infection rate. So we move from 2, it stays at 2, but it's 1 higher here. We infect. So we'll essentially flip this entire stack of cards. And Bogota gets 3 cubes automatically of its color. So we'll throw some cubes down there. Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
And then we'll flip this stack back over. We will flip this stack over. We will shuffle it. And we will put all of these cards back on top. So anything that has a 3 right now is back on top and likely to explode, essentially. So Shanghai.
Well, I'm going to cure Shanghai.
Well, but essentially we still have to perform this turn, right?
Yeah.
And so,
so I still got to take 2 more off here.
Yeah. So it's nice because it's at least 16, right? So we have a lot of cards there. But the fear is that any of the ones with 3, so Bogota is one of them, Shanghai and Taipei, if any of those cards come up, we have an outbreak. So we want to stop that. So my suggestion actually would be your forecast card, Tristan, might be a really great to play here.
Yeah.
So because we still need to draw the 2 for the infection deck. So this will let us see the top 6. Let's go ahead and flip these. And then we get to place them in any order we want, which is great. And it looks like...
Oh, that was Hong Kong in there.
Might be... Okay, so Shanghai is there. Is that Bogota?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 2 of them that are going to burst here. But essentially, if we leave those 2 last, Chris will have a turn, and I will have a turn before those will explode.
I would personally say put Hong Kong and Shanghai down so that I can, as where they would, snag on my turn. So that way, because I can go through and I can clear Hong Kong and Shanghai.
Yeah, and we'll put if we put Bogota at the end of my turn, I can get over there and at least take off a cube or 2. So I don't think that needs to be on your turn necessarily either. Tristan, do you agree with kind of putting Hong Kong? And again, Kitt, you are definitely a part of this combo. What do you all think about putting the 2 reds at the bottom of these 6?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Hong Kong only has the 1 right now, doesn't it?
That is true.
It does.
So I mean, why not leave that as the top and just put the ones that are the 2 that are more subversed at the bottom? That way, it gives you some breathing room at least for the time.
That's a good point. Put Bogota and Shanghai at the bottom.
Okay, Bogota and Shanghai are at the bottom, and then none of these others are at risk, right?
No, they're not. They're not as close. So yeah, you just leave them in any order.
Hold up. I would take and place place the other ones, and then put Hong Kong as like one that's going to go next, because I'll clear that out next.
It doesn't matter. You're
on
going
my
to have
turn.
2 actions. Yeah, it doesn't matter. As long as it's either on mine or Tristan's turn, which it will be, you're going to have it so you can cure it. Yeah, so it shouldn't matter. Okay, so conveniently, we're going to flip to Baghdad.
Oh, that's just a surprise.
Lagos. Yeah, ooh, didn't know that. So Lagos is here. A black cube to Baghdad.
Middle. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, so Baghdad's now a little scary, but again, we won't see it again until the next epidemic. But it is probably something we want to consider going to. And Tristan, that was your turn, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is now my turn.
Did he draw his cards?
He did. Yeah, he drew the forecast and that.
Oh, that's right.
And the epidemic.
Right.
It's okay.
So I don't think it makes sense for me to take any cards from Tristan because I don't want to collect yellow. He already has 2. He needs 4. I don't think it makes sense for me to give him any cards either because he doesn't need red or black right now. I think, again, Bogota's the one we need to for sure kind of take something off there.
However, you could take my black card and be one step closer to finding a cure.
Yeah, I think that's a good move. I'm trying to think. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can get back to LA if I only take 1 cube off of Bogota. I think it probably makes sense to take 2 because a second epidemic card is going to be coming soon. And my fear is that with this smaller deck, Bogota is going to be shuffled in quicker. And so I'd be fearful to only take 1 off and then run away from it. And essentially not be able to get back to it. So I think that's what I'm going to actually do is go here and I'm going to take 2 cubes off of Bogota and use my last action to go to Mexico City. And then I'm going to draw 2 cards here. Algiers and Seoul. Okay. So again, I'm I clicked. I didn't mean to click there. So I've got
you have a free action
black
to
card.
take my black card, right?
It's not a free action.
Oh,
it is, actions, but we don't have to be on the same city.
Okay. Because that would, if you can get back to the research center, you can turn in those and find the cure for the black.
I am seeing a big spike in my.
Whoa! Your wife started Netflix.
Yeah, you probably did. She knows better than to do that. Here, let me text her quick and tell her to not be on Wi-Fi. But that's my turn. I do need to draw 2 cards here.
Now you're starting to turn robot.
Yeah.
Oh, 999.
Yeah, I'm having some issues.
Oh, now you're down to 100.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Whew. All right, so put a yellow on Lima.
It's all those cat videos.
Yeah.
And then I'll put a red on Hong Kong.
Got it.
Oh, okay. And then I'm going to go tell them to stop. If you all want to go ahead with Chris's turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since I'm already here at Shanghai, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to perform the action Treat Disease. And I can take all 3 of those and get rid of them because of who I am, right?
Yeah, because you're the medic, you've got power to get rid of all cubes at once rather than one at a time.
And so that's 1 action, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and then so I can actually take another action and go down to Taipei.
Yep.
Take a 3rd action and Treat Disease and get rid of all of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can set those over there in the middle of the ocean for now.
I'll put them. The disease has been sent in a missile pod to the ocean.
and then that would have been my third action, right? To treat
Yeah.
that. So the question now, should I move to Hong Kong and treat that too?
What's
Well,
the red
the next
card
turn?
you've got?
Say it one more time.
What's the red card you've got in your
Shanghai.
hand?
I have Shanghai. He has, and Chris has Seoul and Manila.
If I can get to you, see, 1, 2, yeah, I can get to you on my turn, and take that red card from you.
You have to be in the same city as me.
I do, but I don't have to be in the same city as the card. So you could
Okay.
go to Hong Kong and I can get to you.
Or I could stay in Taipei.
It doesn't matter. I think you
Okay.
being in Hong Kong is more advantageous than you being in Taipei.
We could go down to this city. I can't actually see any of the city names.
Manila.
Yeah, Manila. We could, but
I honestly
Because that would
think
be
you guys
easier
should
for you.
start head to Baghdad. By the way,
I do too, and I think so. Him being in Hong Kong lets him take those off if he wants to, and it also
And then
puts
head
him
to Baghdad.
closer to the yes. So I think that's a great spot for you. Okay, so you get to draw
only
2
had the
cards.
dispatch.
Yeah, we don't have the dispatcher. We only had 3.
I have
two
two.
yellows.
I got Miami and Sao Paulo.
Okay, so that's something to know.
I have
is that,
3 yellow cards now.
yeah, if we can get those yellow cards to Tristan, he needs 2 of them, or you need 2 of them. That can be really helpful. So you're at a hand limit of 5, or a hand count of 5. So you're going to be hitting your hand limit soon. So we also probably want to trade those cards soon.
Are you playing base or any of the expansions?
We're just playing base right now.
Okay, wanted to make sure because
Shanghai gets a red cube. That was unavoidable. And Bogota, yeah, sorry. Bogota gets a
Got it.
cube. Okay. Tristan, it's your turn.
Right.
And chat's going just bonkers right now.
Well, it's all with IT related stuff.
It's all IT related stuff. Our producer is nerding out with Ottercat, aka Matt, who we
And if I
hang out
wasn't
with
paying
often.
attention to the game, I would be too.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. I'm making sure, again, if you all have posted anything in here that actually is important to, again, maybe asking Tristan a question or to the game Pandemic, please let us know. Tell Matt to give you some space. Our producer said, shut up. I was being nice by saying, give him some space. Okay. So Tristan, it's your turn.
So need yellow cards. Where? Both in the wrong place, aren't we? Really.
So
Maybe I should go get rid of the blues up there or something.
So the other thought that I had was because I can take, no, I can give or you can take. I was trying to think, is there an easy way for me to get those yellow from you? So that I can take them over to Chris, because I can give freely. And I think there is.
Go, can't you?
Do what?
Do you have a limit on how many you can collect at a time?
As long as I spin the point, so I share a share action is 1 card exchange. As long as I have 2 points, I can perform 2 share knowledges. But again, I can't take from you. You can give me at any I can give you any card, and you can take any card. So for you to give me cards, essentially, we have to be on the same city. But my suggestion is, I'm on Mexico City. One of your yellow cards is Mexico City. So you could give me Mexico City.
2, 3.
So that's one of the cards. And then when I'm over at Hong Kong, I can give him one of the yellows and essentially, you know what I'm saying?
And then I can use my last go to clear out the disease cube there.
Yeah, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get both of these from you and it be helpful because it's down in Buenos Aires. I would essentially have to skip a turn. I mean, I can, if Chris is going over to black, I can meet you at Buenos Aires and, take that from you there.
What do we have to build a research center? Because I'm probably in a decent spot to build a research center.
So you need a card of, you essentially need the card of the city you're in.
Okay.
So the fear, though, is
So why don't I should probably head over to Rerda or whatever it is and build a research center there.
So the
I have that
problem
card.
with that is that we only have 3 black cards on the table. And while that does spend,
4.
one for you to build one, well, yeah, but if you spin that, then we only have 3, and we either need 4 or 5, depending on who has the cards. So that's the hard part, is by spinning that black card, you're essentially spending one of the 4 we have on the board, and we have to wait for 2 more to pop up. So it's a risk. It could be it's not saying it's a bad risk, it's just a risk.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I mean, is it worth us swapping yellow cards? Because I guess we're giving you the yellow cards, and then you've got to get them over.
You can essentially, to use my ability, you can take a card from me for free, or you can, or I can give you a card of any city, not for free, but of any city. Or you and I can mutually exchange on the city we're at. So you would have to, I would say Mexico City, you take, you give me that yellow, and I'll bring that over to Chris when I head that way, because I can give him cards for free.
But I need 5.
Yeah, and you're going to run out.
But that's one closer. I mean, the hope is that you draw, the last one you need.
I'm just wondering if I should just concentrate on clearing South America disease for the moment. Just try and collect some more yellows later on.
I mean, you have a large I mean, it might also benefit you to take maybe the reds from me, or one of the reds from me, so that you, or 2, so you're closer to getting the reds. I mean, you have so much card space right now that so you could come over here to Mexico City, take my 2 red cards, and then you're 2 and 2, and we can just see what happens.
Doing very well. Peace up. Okay,
I mean,
so that's 2 moves. And then, so what do we want to do? Should I give you a yellow, or should I just take red?
Well, so the Mexico City, I can grab on my turn. So I would actually say take 2 of these reds. Just take them.
But you have to give them to me, don't you?
Or you can take them.
Okay.
So can take them.
2 moves. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Great.
So you're going to draw 2 more cards here. And we can see, based on what you draw, maybe next action should be.
Another epidemic.
Did you draw another one?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So let me.
More bad news.
Let me set that over here. Okay, so we need to increase the infection rate, still at 2, but it's getting close to the 3, so something to keep in mind. Manila gets 3 cubes. We'll pull that over top. So now here's the problem, is that any of the cards that were in this are now, that were close to exploding, are now there. Was Baghdad one of those cards?
Yeah, it must be in there.
Okay, if Baghdad's in there, we're gonna draw it, and it's not gonna be great, but we'll see. Okay, so one of them is Bogota. So Bogota gets a cube. Good thing I took 2 off there. And Shanghai. Shanghai gets A red cube. Okay, we're doing okay.
See that?
Okay, so my turn. Let's organize your hand over here.
Obsessively messy.
Did you have 2 yellows? Oh, your red fell on top of it. Okay. So Chris, you can take a card from me for an action. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this yellow Mexico City from Tristan. And then I'm going to spend my other 3 actions. 1, 2, 3 to come to you.
Still think it's funny this is the game being played, by the way.
Why is that?
Because one of the more interesting chapters that I was reading was the outbreak chapter, the pandemic chapter.
What was one of the favorite and most interesting parts of that chapter for you, Kitt?
Well, so to be fair, when the what was it, SARS? It was, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I was a kid. Like, I was like, I didn't even know what to do back then. I'm like, really? I was a 14-year-old back then, so I'm like, I don't know what to think. But looking back at it now, I'm like, that could have been crazy. And then thinking about it, how it inspired, how that actually helped, like, pretty much put with it. It seems it just like it. I don't know how to word it because then my words suck. But it seems like all the crazy events for certain things always seem to make like more deep games that seem to like catch on easier, like Pandemic, especially with like the legacy form and all that, but how it can culminate from real world events and such too.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think the themes are kind of important. So, game I really like is Splendor.
That game.
But it's got a problem because its themes not particularly easy to engage with. It's very much mechanics and
I actually have it mobile, but I'm not good at it at all. I lose the computer every time.
But I think the theme Pandemic and games like that have is it's really easy to relate to it, and that's one of the things I think those family games were good at. It's like, I can relate to it. It's about kind of buying houses or something.
I'm finishing up my turn.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, you're okay.
But
this doesn't require me to necessarily talk out loud, so.
Well, yeah, and I agree. I think for themings that like if it's a theme people can like more associate with and stuff, it makes it easier to latch on and understand and play. In a way, I mean, the mechanic could still be hard, but I mean, you'd have more of a vested interest in such.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been good things that Matt Leacock did by choosing sort of disease is that it keeps reoccurring. So there's always that sort of new SARS-like threat kind of lurking around, whether it's the Zika virus or even flu. There's always something brewing somewhere maybe this will be the global pandemic.
Right,
Thankfully,
it's still a relevant theme, right?
Yeah.
Or Risk. Everyone loves a 3-day game of Risk, right? Am I the only one who had a 3-day game of Risk?
No one loves it. No,
so
everyone
Chris, are you wanting me to take that yellow from you?
I do. I think that would be a great move on our.
Oh, here's a game of Risk for your birthday.
And that
let's play it.
To do that, right? That cost me a move.
Yep. And so you also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 card. The problem we're going to run into is that you can't draw. If you draw 2, you have to discard 1. So it might make sense for you to, if you want to, discard a card. I'm thinking
move to Rita or whatever.
Fly straight to it. Yeah, you're essentially taking the direct flight action.
Yeah, but I'm scared that Manila has 3.
So I'm gonna have to go back, I think, to Tristan anyways, because he's sitting on 2 red and I've got 1 red. So I think it makes sense for me to go back to him anyways. So I'm gonna go to Manila and take a cube off.
Okay.
So I'm not as worried
So,
about that. I'm
I'm
worried
going to go
about
ahead and
bad
get
guys.
rid of that. I'm going to move to Rita, and then I'm going to take my last action and move up here.
Okay. So you're going to go ahead and draw 2 cards here.
I can't draw 2, can I?
You can now. This would put you at 7.
Oh, I thought it was a 6 limit.
I think it's a 7 card limit. Right, Kitt, can you remember?
I mean, I could go grab my copy of the game.
It's not a big deal. If we cheated, we cheated. It's
So Istanbul and
Essen.
Essen.
So we've cured blue already. So Essen might be a good card to like throw out as like a I'm gonna fly here card if you ever need to.
Oh, it is 7, by the way.
Huh?
It is 7.
It is 7. Okay. And then or the other thing is if you ever get to Essen and discard that card, you can fly anywhere. So
Right.
that might be a good card to consider using here on your next turn, but we do need to flip 2 of these.
Now, the other thing that we could do, is that since I am right near Istanbul, I can build a research center there.
Yeah, I think that would also be a beneficial use of your action. But we are going to draw you 2 cards. Manila is one of them. So we do have an outbreak. So what happens?
See, I knew I should have went to Manila. I had a feeling.
So a red cube essentially gets placed on every city that is connected to Manila with a white line. So
Those lines look kind of yellow to me.
a white yellow line. Sydney gets one, and then I think LA is the last one.
All right.
So that's not great. And we do move our outbreak tracker down 1. So we now have had 1 outbreak, which does progress us slightly to the end game.
So Manila doesn't get a 4th cube?
No, it never exceeds 3 cubes.
Oh, okay.
The 4th cube is essentially the explosion, and so then it goes to every.
The explosion of disease.
Right.
I told you I should have
all right,
gone
Tristan,
down to Manila.
it is your turn.
Right. I suppose I should deal with. Is it Bogota? There, 'cause
Yeah,
that's
I mean, I think that's a.
That's a fairly good choice.
So I'll just spend my go clearing that unless anyone's got any objections.
So I think that me getting closer to you is important because I want to make sure that I can give you this red card. And so I wouldn't move too far away, but if you're going to go to Bogota and clear off like 2 cubes, you could go back to Mexico City, or you could go to Lima.
Okay, I'll clear 2 away because I'm hanging around there. It's not going to be too much problem. So that's 3 moves.
And one thing to know is that I do have the resilient population event card, which lets me essentially take one of these infection cards and remove it from the game. So if we have an epidemic here pretty soon, I could use that to like take Manila or another like potentially big outbreak city out. So that's something to know.
Right.
All right, draw yourself 2 of these.
Okay, so Baghdad. Really need bags to move out of the way. And then 1 quiet night, which is skip the next infect city step.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a really nice card to kind of have when you're potentially going to have a really bad outbreak or something like that. So that could be something to kind of use and hold on to soon.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do need to draw 2 here. I'm trying to think, was Lagos one of the cards that is also on top of this?
I kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to explode. I don't think using 1 Silent Night is a good choice right now. I'm worried that an epidemic card's going to come up pretty quick, and we may need that for to prevent Manila and then whatever we draw soon from exploding. But
We also have Baghdad soon too.
yeah.
So 2 cards.
Baghdad's
for
going to
you.
be cleared out in like 20 seconds.
Right.
Unless I called it.
We've got Baghdad.
Are you kidding?
It wouldn't have mattered because we could have only used, and you know.
No,
Okay.
just end up doing it.
Yeah, it would have happened before Chris could do it, anyways.
Yeah.
So
I think that's
Baghdad
actually the worst city on the whole map, isn't it? For spreading.
do what?
I think that is the city with the most connections on the map.
It's very high up there if it's not the highest.
It's actually one of the highest. There's I think most have at the most 5 connections, and there's actually 4 cities I see that have 5 connections. 4 or 5 cities that have 5 connections.
Yeah.
Oh no, this one, Istanbul actually would be the worst because that's 6.
Yep.
All right. Well, we have 11 black cubes remaining, so that's not great. And then Lima gets another one here. Wow. Okay, we're seeing
There's no games in well.
we're seeing a lot of cubes on the
Hey,
board.
you don't have to
Remember,
take the game to let me in already. Couldn't help that.
so okay, it's my turn. I don't know what to do with myself right now. I think the goal is for me to give you one of those red cards. So 1, 2. I'm going to take one of these off here, and then I'll spend my 3, 4 to join you on Mexico City. So you can take this on your turn from me.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to draw 2 of these cards here.
Oh,
Airlift and is that LA?
yeah. Airlift's a good one.
Yeah, and then I can essentially move people to a space. Which is really nice. Maybe we use that to help do some card exchange here pretty soon, because if I let's see.
Does one person have to turn in all the cards?
Yes.
Oh.
So I'm thinking though, if I fly to Istanbul with airlift, which is said move any pawn to any city.
I'm going to build a thing there.
Well, and you can take on your turn a card from me. So you can take yellow. You're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You would spin one with the Istanbul to build the research station. So you would essentially go 1, build the research station. 2, take the yellow card.
I'm clearing
3.
Baghdad.
I mean, Baghdad. So the thing for me is that Baghdad is here.
Okay.
And we have a little bit. I mean,
You have a little bit of wiggle room. I'd say do the min-maxing of trying to get yellow cured before you worry about Baghdad too much. Unless you get another, Epidemic, but then you have the one quiet night to back on.
Right. And the other thing is he's going to be maxed out on a hand limit. And so if he spins it first before clearing Baghdad, then he has space to draw those 2 cards. Turn.
Okay.
Yes.
So I am going to do that. I'm going to spin my airlift to take my pawn to Istanbul. And then I'm going to draw 2 of these. Cairo. Chris, will you put that on there? And then Mexico City, yellow. Okay.
Not too bad.
All right, Chris, it's your turn.
All right, so I'm ignoring Baghdad. I'm ignoring Cairo, so I'm going to move up there. I'm going to play Istanbul, put a research center there.
I turned my card in already. So the 5 cards are here.
Did I take one from you?
Yeah. Well, you would have, yes.
Okay. So that's what, 3 actions?
Yep. And then your 4th one is to cure it.
Okay, I'm going to cure it.
Okay. Yes.
But now you can fly back to Atlanta at no cost.
Cure as in turn in your yellows, not treat. So how many black cubes were on Istanbul?
Just one.
Just one.
You
Yeah.
would think that the research center there, though, would be would negate the fact that that's there.
One would think, but
Okay, so
I
we
mean,
have yellow. We
But
have yellow.
if you look
blue
at this, though,
cured.
we built the research center upside down, so it can't
That's
be doing
fine.
too much good.
Right.
There we
We've
go.
cured yellow and blue. We need to cure red and black before that.
Oh,
so we will.
Sorry,
which
I
is
flipped
good.
over the wrong one. I
Yeah,
apologize.
you did. It's fine.
Well,
Okay.
consider purple cured already because we're not using it.
Purple's eradicated. Okay, go ahead and draw 2 cards here, Chris.
Hey, there we go.
Actually, that's great because
You can
you
take
and
them
I
from
can
me.
trade those for me. Yeah.
yeah, that's you're
What are
you're
they?
gonna have that. Good.
Karachi and Moscow.
Yeah.
Moscow's here, which is good, and Karachi's here.
Tehran.
Oh,
Now it's at
that's
3.
getting scary.
This area
And
is-
St. Petersburg.
Okay. Tristan,
Why is
it's
the
your
one
turn.
cube on St. Petersburg like?
I
like-
think it's not a real cube. I think it's a fake cube. It was up here, and I put it in the bag, thinking it was the same color, and then I realized.
Oh,
So,
Alright.
so now we've cured yellow. It's just one move to get rid
Yeah,
of it.
it is just one.
Okay,
Oh.
so I may as well clear out these yellows. Stop anymore.
Yeah, and do
So I
you?
can't really do much else.
Well,
and-
actually,
Sorry,
if
go
I
ahead.
may,
Yeah.
you could actually let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, why don't you actually go to Atlanta Shuttle Flight? Because that's one of your movements is move from one research station to another research station, and then that way you could give him one of the blacks early on, so that way it doesn't
Well,
take
he
2 actions
can't.
to do that.
Oh, because he's in. That's well, that's Baghdad. I mean, he can't give me it unless it's a city where we share. I can give.
It need not match your city.
I can give, or he can take. I cannot take, and he cannot give, according to the card.
Yeah.
So, but I think Baghdad is that because Chris has Karachi. So
I have
think,
2 black cards.
Yeah, I was just trying to save it from doing so much that way you could try to take out some of the 3 key
Yeah.
areas.
No, I think that's a great idea. If he goes to, so if Tristan spends 1, 2 to get to Atlanta, 3 to get to Istanbul, and then the 4th card to get to Baghdad,
Yeah.
I can meet him in Baghdad and take that card from him. So I need 1 more, and then I could meet Chris in either Moscow or Karachi. So I would go essentially 1, pick up the card 2, and I could get to either city, right? If we go to Karachi, I can actually take a cube off Baghdad and then meet him in Karachi, and then Chris can, give me his Karachi card, and then on my turn I can get back and cure black.
Yeah, because it'll save you from having to spend multiple extra actions running around.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, or actually, I have a better idea. You can take cards from me, depending of any kind. Where if we are in the same city, so you only need 4 black, and you have 1 already. So what if you went to Istanbul? So you did 1, 2, flew to Istanbul, 3, and then took one of my black cards.
Yeah.
That gives you 2, and then on my turn, I can give you 2, and then I can go do other things.
Black on my next go.
Well,
Yeah, and then you're
hand limit,
there.
though.
So, but I think of blue's cured and yellow's cured, so he can toss these 2 cards and he doesn't need them.
True.
I don't think that's. I mean, that's going to save us a turn.
Yeah.
Right. It's a cure on Tristan's turn versus next turn versus a cure on my next turn.
That's true.
So At
I mean,
least one turn quicker.
Yeah.
there's my 2 cents in it.
Okay.
Hey, if it's decided on 2,
3.
if I can actually put it down without it falling over.
No, there's no way. So his hand, Silent Night does not count in his hand. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 current.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
okay,
welcome to Istanbul, gents.
right.
It's not Constantinople.
Yeah, I was literally about to
Yeah.
hit that, so I appreciate that. Okay, so we did you draw 2 cards?
Oh no, I haven't done that yet.
And that might be
Bad.
because it's your turn, right? And that might be actually
Two more
the black
yellows.
card.
So
What do you have?
I've got Lima and
An epidemic.
no.
Yeah, just drop it. Just drop it on top of things. It's fine.
Oh, it's all
Okay. I would say just get rid of these yellows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's
This
keep
is-
Lima because it's a problem one. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, good choice.
Oh, yeah. You could do a flight thing for discarding it.
Yeah,
New
yeah,
York, do we need New York for anything? Get rid of that, couldn't we?
I don't think we need New York because New York's pretty clean.
Well, so technically you don't need to do this yet, but yes, you can go ahead and get rid of them if you want. No, we do not need New York.
Yeah. So chuck
I
that
need
in
to
there
get
as
rid
well.
of this one.
The one thing I forgot, and you need to clarify, once you actually have all of the specific one out, even if infection card comes out, once it's actually eradicated, then it won't spawn in it, right?
Yeah, so eradication means that once those infection cards are drawn, so if we were to eradicate blue, anytime a blue card is drawn, no more blue cubes get added.
Okay, that's what I thought. I had to remember. It's been a while.
Okay.
But we just have to cure, don't we, to win?
Yeah, we just have to cure to win. We don't have to eradicate. All right, so I'm
Oh, we're
going to draw
almost there.
Tristan.
I would say, yeah.
Well, hold on now. Don't get ahead of yourself. Tristan's infection. So we're at 8 black cubes left. That's not great. And then San Francisco needs a blue cube.
I could see you guys actually doing this in 3 rotations. You guys have enough cards for the
We have all the cards we need
to red and black cure.
Do we have the reds?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys have 4 total reds on the table in your hands.
Okay.
I mean,
Problem is-
ultimately, we could do this and just like none of us freaking move from this spot and just trade these cards.
As long as the cube's set right now.
So the hard part is, though, how do I get that red card? How do we get that red card to Tristan?
Magic.
Because I can give
We
him mine,
proxy
which
through
means he
you.
has
We
3.
can't you take the card and then give me both?
No,
of them?
you have to. That would still. He would take it. He'd have to be in the same city. He can give any color. Well, I mean, you could possibly end up doing that when you draw your next hand. 2 cards too.
Right. Yeah, that's true. How about I do this? I'm going to do. That's not me. 1, 2, 3, and then 4.
There you go.
No, I need to give him cards.
So take 1 out, and then just that way you don't have to worry about explosion.
Yeah,
No,
because but I need to stay on that city.
Well, I mean, what does?
How about this? I'm going to give him one of the cards. So Tristan, you're just going to have to take one of the black cards on my. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And so on my turn, you can take that Chennai, turn it in, and then take the red card and maybe a second one, just depending on what happens.
Okay.
All right, I am almost positive there's an epidemic here.
And you're wrong.
Ooh. So we only have 2 drawn so far, and there are 2 more left.
Yeah.
So just know that in 23 cards, there are 2 epidemics left.
Remember, if that happened, it's Tiny Rhino's fault.
It probably is.
So
let me draw
now
these.
Yep.
Taipei needs a red, and Karachi needs a black. It's right here. All right, Chris, cure the living everything out of that. I don't think you need to stay here anymore.
But I have 2 black cards that I got to get rid of. I got to give someone 2 black cards, right?
But you can't. Like, how are you gonna? No, you don't need to give those black cards. The 1 black card he needs, he can take from me on his turn. So I would say you just go cure and add some black cubes to the board. So if you went to Cairo, grabbed cured here, 2, 3, 4, you could either.
Should
Cairo
I
and Karachi,
give you
Cairo.
a red card?
You can't give me cards.
What?
It's either I give you cards or you take cards from me. The other 2 conditions, you and I. The other 2 conditions, you and I have to be on the same city.
Well, both in Istanbul.
Yes, but
I
we
don't
would have to
understand
be in
why
a
I
city
can't
that
give you
matches
a
the
card.
card.
That's silly.
Yeah.
I think we should definitely clear either Tehran or Karachi, because if they have an outbreak, that will
So
have
I
a
think
second outbreak immediately.
1, 2,
Well, Cairo, I can get to Cairo, clear it.
Well, I mean, Cairo
Well,
and Karachi right now are in the discard, so
Well, what he's saying though is that if Tehran or Karachi outbreaks, then they're gonna set the other one off, which means Baghdad's gonna So you need to take for sure clear either Tehran or Karachi. I would say.
So
I mean,
how
why
about
not-
this? How
why
about
not
this?
just take one of those 2 out using your resilient population, and that way just worry about the other.
I mean, we can, yeah.
But then again, I can also do this. I can fly to Karachi, clear it, and then go clear also.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that. And then I'll move up here and then clear those out too.
Okay, good choice. Because we don't need that black card, so that was perfect.
Right, that's why, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
that's good. That's a good way of doing that.
Yeah.
All right. So you get to draw 2 of these. Hopefully none of them are epidemics. Hey!
Hey, a red.
Now I have 2 reds. Okay, so here's the bad part. London,
Oh, now London's scary.
Seoul, whatever you want to call it.
Seoul is
Up
more
top, up
scary.
top.
Okay. All right, Tristan, it's your turn.
Okay. So
Cure the
I'll
black.
take a black card from yourself.
Yep. I'll just put it in the discard.
Sure. Attempt hazardly to move that into discard.
Okay, so you spent 1 to take a card from me, 2 to cure it.
Yeah.
You can use your 3rd action to take Osaka from me,
Okay. Yeah.
because that way you only need 1 red,
Yeah.
and then
No.
do what your heart's desire for your 4th. I mean,
How about you just take the last cube from Istanbul?
you could,
Sure.
yeah.
There,
Because like
So-
you don't want to move. You don't want to move off it.
yeah. Take
Yeah.
the cube that's on it.
Yeah. May as well.
That cube's been there
There's a
long enough.
CDC
laughing at
center
you.
there. There's no reason for disease to be there.
Yeah, it's just embarrassing.
Right?
Like,
So
do your
close to
damn
home.
job. All right, draw
Oh,
2
wait,
here.
now that we've cured black, all I have to do is pass through the cities and they're automatically cured, right?
Yep.
Yes.
What?
So
Ooh.
Oh, did you? Oh my goodness! You
Oh.
made it another turn.
what's that?
The government grant.
I have an idea for that, by the way.
Okay.
If you would like to entreat and like
Yeah,
okay,
I
so
told you when you're sharing knowledge.
so I say you put that over in because you could take these over. So put the move it over to, because you have what, 2 reds over there.
I have Taipei and Shanghai.
So, well, yeah. So I would say put it over in one of the 3 that Tristan has. Put the research center there. He can charter a flight next turn. Then take 2 cards from Tiny Rhino and then cure red.
Well, I've got research stations, so once we build one, I can just go there.
Well, that's what this is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You put the research station in one of the 3 areas you have your card for, Tristan. That way you fly there next turn, and then you can then have Tiny Rhino over there as well. So you could take 2 cards from him.
I don't have any reds to give him.
Wait, I'm not following. This doesn't say that he has to be there to add the research station. It only says add 1 research station to any city, no city card needed.
Yeah.
So
well,
he doesn't
no. I was
actually
saying
have to
so
be
that way
there.
he could charter a flight there.
Why would he need to do that when he can?
We can
Charter
fly
flight
between
wherever.
research stations
Right.
if we like.
So what if he? I think you're saying the right thing, just slightly off.
Always.
So if we put one either on Taipei or Shanghai, which is Digital Carnage's cards, right? On Digital Carnage's turn, he can end in one of those 2 cities, wherever the research center is on, and then on Tristan's turn, he just goes from research station to research station, takes that 4th red card, and cures it.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
You were saying it. You were just using the wrong person.
Okay, so I was supposed to go there to then be able to, so that he can meet up with me
just
and grab
end
that
your
card.
turn on
Gotcha.
Taipei.
Okay.
Okay.
Ta-da!
Yeah. Okay, so we spent this. So the question I have though is, did we draw cards for you, Tristan?
Yes. Oh, not for him. For
Not
me.
yet.
Okay. Okay. Montreal. Blue card right here.
First one in Canada.
Cube. And Bangkok.
Cute.
Here.
Where's that? There it is. Thank you. Okay.
Right.
So it's my turn. I don't
So
know.
everyone grab your popcorn.
Yeah, right. I don't
So
know.
since Kitt's here, he should be our designated disease distributor.
Yeah, so I was going to, but I don't want to get anyone's way. Also, this is bugging me again. Please. I'm cool.
He could be our triple D.
Okay.
Just because I work in the medical field, man. Jeez.
I don't think my turn matters, right?
I mean, I was going to say that, but it sounded mean.
I mean, I could take a cube off of Cairo.
Get Cairo out of there.
1, 2. I mean,
Well, you get rid of all of them, don't you? Because Precure.
actually,
so you actually cure all since you have them.
Yeah. I forgot that.
And here, wait, that was what, 2?
Yeah.
Discard Santiago and then move up to Lima.
4.
Yeah, it's that or do and
I would say you can just go to Largo too.
It's for the same.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, like I said, it doesn't. It absolutely does not matter. I'll just end here.
I want to use my cleric abilities and just pass through places.
Well, you will get a chance to do that maybe once. Okay, so that's my turn. I got to draw 2 of these. Definitely one of them's an epidemic. It has to be.
No.
Okay.
Are you complaining about not drawing an epidemic?
No, I'm just like, did I mess up the? Did I mess it up?
Most
I bet
definitely.
they're at the bottom of the deck.
But
Winning it.
I'm
Here.
not-
Hold on. I'm not.
Nope.
I'm not cheating at all. Okay.
Are they at the bottom?
There are still 2 more epidemics.
If they're at the
Okay.
bottom, I'm gonna laugh. By the way.
So wait, now you have to
I
dish
flipped
out
2
your
more.
diseases.
Algiers
Uh,
and Chicago and Chi-Town. Okay. So, Chris, you just have to end your turn in Taipei.
Okay.
You could do.
So I'm gonna do something crazy here. All right.
No.
Yep. I'm gonna do it. I am
Oh,
going
wait,
to charter a flight to Shanghai.
Can you? What are you doing?
What? Why not just walk? Why don't you use your clan
Just be
ability to do this?
Jesus. Like
Okay,
walk
go through here and then go here and charter a flight over there.
and then cure these reds.
Because I was going to fly to Shanghai and do the
Well, no, but you could
Oh
use
my
your cleric
gosh.
ability and walk through
Yeah, you want to use
Baghdad
cleric,
and clear it out.
through Baghdad.
I could, but I'm not too fond of the Middle East right now.
Okay, Chris.
Suck it up and be an adult.
Get your turn over with. Get out of here. Like I can't deal with you right now.
No, we're just
I don't have the mental fortitude to deal with your stuff right now.
control
Fine.
saving throw and see if it
I
helps.
will go through Baghdad, clear
Thank
that
goodness.
out.
Oh,
Don't move me.
Come on, get your person out of here. Get him out of here.
And then I'll move through.
No, what are you
No.
doing?
What?
go here,
Go here.
Go up here.
2,
charter a
Why?
flight.
3, and then
Why?
clear, because you going here isn't helpful. You have to end here.
I know I have to end there. Would you let me end there on my own terms?
No,
Well, if he
but
does that, he can't
so
trade
we
cards
don't.
then.
Matt said, our producer said, has a type A card. We don't want him to use that. He needs to trade that card.
Well, then that's why I wanted to fly to Shanghai.
No, stop it. Just cure this.
I've never
I'm
been to
taking-
Shanghai.
Well,
I'm
I'm
taking
Tiny
over
Rhino.
your turn.
Tiny Rhino. Hey, Tiny Rhino.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. He could. Tristan could just take your last red and fly over there.
Oh, that's fine. True, but I wanted Chris to listen. Yeah. Christian,
Yeah, come on.
Tristan just wants to go to sleep, so let's do that for
I'm
him.
so happy that I got to take my turn the way I wanted to.
Yep,
You're
sure
welcome.
did. All right, draw your 2 cards. Newsflash.
I
one
don't
of
know
them's
if I
in-
want to. You draw the
All right.
cards. You're taking my turn, so.
One of them is. No.
Ah,
But the
Can't
beauty
even
of
flip
it.
a card.
But the beauty of it is, we have 1 silent night. So we're gonna move this up 1.
Ooh,
We're
3.
gonna flip this up. Jakarta
uh-oh.
needs to be at 3.
Well, it should be at 0, so that's good.
Yeah. it's
Oh,
right
it is.
here.
Yeah.
3 red cubes. And then flip this. Shuffle this.
Since you're doing that, can I mind if I ask something?
Can you what?
Mind if I ask a question to Tristan?
Yes.
I was curious. What was your favorite game to like look into the history of? I was missing, so I don't know if that was asked already. So
I'm trying to think which one. They all sort of appealed in different ways. I suppose Clue I found really interesting because one of the things I don't think many people had looked at was there's a archive here in the UK which sort of lots of the old history of it. So that was really interesting. The whole, we sort of briefly mentioned him earlier. So the toy designer who basically his agency invented Mousetrap, Operation. I mean, he was someone I'd never heard of before, but he was such a fascinating character. Just this kind of strange, chain-smoking, paranoid kind of lunatic, really, who just invented these iconic toys.
sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah, he was very cool in a kind of slightly self-destructive way, but sort of strange sort of paranoia where basically his toy agency was basically this sort of underground bunker in Chicago. And he used to have a secretary, and basically the secretary never saw his office, was never allowed in the whole time she worked with him, which was like sort of 40 years. I suppose Monopoly, you know, I know it's not a game that people have high opinions of too much in sort of hobby gaming, but, you know, Monopoly's a great backstory. You know, it's a complete Frankenstein's monster, invented as this kind of protest against landlords kind of, you know, exploiting people who rent, and, you know, turned into the kind of symbol of capitalism that it is now, kind of utterly cutthroat game. So I I guess if I'm going to pick one, I'll probably go for Monopoly because it's such a kind of story that backfired. You know, it's sort of protest game that became a symbol of everything it was protesting against.
I think it's funny it goes from being a protest game to now being a game that pretty much will end at least one friendship if it's played the right way. And I mean, at least. We go minimum here.
Right.
Yeah.
I
if you
think
play
it's
with
funny. Griff, who's one of the folks who is in our Discord and has been in our channel a lot, also knows a lot about the history. He tells us a lot about the history of Monopoly, and it's so funny to like hear, that story come up multiple times, and just kind of hear folks talk about, oh, like, here's the small, change or nuance on that story, and it really does kind of create this very elaborate kind of texture, contextual piece of like story, this fabric, right? So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so much history sort of weaved into it, and so many sort of strange ideas. So I mean, it's like UK Monopoly was just completely random. They sort of basically got their imported copy, looked at it, and went, well, those are obviously the streets of New York, and having no idea that it was Atlantic City. So it's like, well, we'll go to London, drive around, sort of find some places, and one of the places they chose was just a pub because that's where they ended up at the day, and it's not even a street. It's kind of random sort of bits of history kind of accumulate.
all right.
We
I
have
would
to flip over the things now.
No, we don't, because One Silent Night,
Quiet Night.
or whatever it is.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I was actually looking at because I saw the book, this one I read. Sorry, I'm like, but then I was also actually like last night as I finished, I was looking at I haven't got it yet, but the what was it, the video game.
Replay.
Yeah, Replay, because I love books about the history of video games. I've read 6 of them.
Wow.
And it's like it's because I grew up playing Sega Genesis that my dad gave me, so that's my roots. I've never played Nintendo until I was like 12.
Yeah.
But like I always loved seeing looking at the history, and reading about it and stuff. Like I'm like, this is gonna be on my next one. I'm gonna read that probably.
So
Yeah.
There you go.
I was gonna say, I think it's interesting because this is where the two converge. Well, let's wrap this game up real quick. So it is Tristan's turn. Essentially, all you have to do is
Move.
over
Take
to
my high pay card.
take type pay,
There you go. I'll give it to you there.
and then cure it.
And is that the end of the game?
That is the end of the game. Tristan, I want to congratulate you as one of the few guests who have actually won that you show up.
There's a reason I picked a co-op game.
You just wanted to make sure that our win was your win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Team effort.
So, any last questions, Chris or Kitt, for Tristan before we head off the air?
Any plans for any future books coming up?
Yeah, well, I'm working on the second edition of Replay because that's coming up to 10 years old now. So, it's actually sort of starting to feel a bit out of date. So I am working on a new version of that, which realistically, the way books work, will be next year. I've got an idea that I'm working on that I haven't got a deal for, so I'm kind of keeping that secret. But,
Right.
No, hush.
But, you can tell us off air here in just a second. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll do that. But yeah, it's way too early to really kind of know what exactly.
Then I may wait then until if you are possibly doing a second edition Replay, then I may wait until that. So
yeah, although I have been saying I'm going to do that next year for about 4. So.
Chris, any questions for Tristan?
How does it feel to be the only guest that's actually won a game on our show?
I don't think he's the only one, right?
The only recent guest.
I think we've had one or two other winners. It's pretty few and far between. I think this is episode 18, producer Matt. And I really think you are I think you're the third.
Wow. So this either means you're all really good at games, or you're Ricky.
Well, I don't mean to brag, but I am typically the winner of the. So
It's normally one of the Chris's that wins.
no, it's either Chris or Frank. Let's be completely.
That's true.
I'm just happy to be on the winning team.
I've only started playing recently. So
Yeah, Kitt just hasn't had enough opportunities to.
I mean, I killed Digital Carnage a couple weeks ago.
Well, that's not hard. That's easy.
That was
All right. So, Tristan, any last things you want to say to our audience before we head out for them?
No, thanks for watching, and and thanks for having me on.
All right. It's sorry. I'm listening to producer Matt. And, I just wanted to say one more time that the book we're talking about tonight is It's All a Game. It's a great book. I haven't finished it yet. Kitt's given it a wonderful recommendation. What I've read so far, I've loved it. So feel free to pick it up, whether it's on ebook or physical copy, all the things. And on behalf of Tristan, myself, Chris Cornell, and Kitt, and then Matt back at the mothership, we thank you all and have a great night.